I look back on that now and I'm like, I thought it was trying to take care of myself and stuff, but it was my way, almost my way of trying to still be a people pleaser.
Oh, okay.
How can I make myself better so that other people will think I'm perfect? They need to see that I'm a perfect mom and a perfect wife and I have this perfect life. And that's not necessary, because nobody's going to believe it anyway. Because nobody's perfect.
Welcome to Under the Sun Podcast. I'm Ilea.
And I'm Irene. Grab a cup of coffee and your comfiest sweats and join us every Monday as two best friends discuss everything from raising free-range gremlins to business and really everything under the sun.
Let's get started, and thanks for being here.
Welcome to Under the Sun Podcast. We are in a different location with some different awesome new hats and an amazing lady. This is Miss Deanna.
Also known as Momma.
Yeah, also known as Momma.
Which do you prefer? As people who are invading your space right now.
I prefer what you're comfortable with. That's what I tell each student that comes in.
Yeah.
You can call me Momma or you can call me Deanna. We had two ladies in one class together, and the 53-year-old called me Momma and the 26-year-old called me Deanna. So it really doesn't matter.
Okay.
That's just what they're comfortable with.
Yeah. Well, Momma here is gracious enough to let us bombard her home for a couple days. Well, tomorrow we get to do something cool. We get to ride horses with our new cowboy hats.
Yeah.
To hopefully stay on your head.
Hopefully stay on, yes.
Because there's a rule that if the hat blows off while you're riding a horse, you have to buy drinks for everybody. So,
well, I got hat stuffing in mine because I'm in between sizes.
Okay.
So hopefully she stays on.
Well, we can wear Stampede strings.
We can.
Females can.
What?
Okay.
I thought it wasn't cool.
Cowgirls. But cowgirls can. When he left the store today, he told your husband not to buy one, but that was it's only a guy thing.
Okay.
Right, honey?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, good then.
Well, does that mean you have to buy drinks then? Because you gave me false information.
I have a Stampede string for this hat, but it broke, so I have to get a new one.
Okay.
Right, good to know.
Yeah.
Well, this is unique for us because usually we're, in Irene's salon basement recording a podcast, but obviously we took a 20-hour journey to come to Wyoming to meet you guys. Mm-hmm. And so would you mind introducing yourself, telling us who you are, what you do, and what the heck we're doing here?
I'm Deanna, and I'm Dry Creek Momma, married to Dry Creek Dwayne. We have a school, a horsemanship training school here in Wyoming, and we just moved here in April. We were in Tennessee before that. That was our first year of school. So this is our second year of school. And we have students come in each week. We teach them horsemanship. We go riding a little bit, and then they go home, and the next 5 come in.
It's amazing.
So that's through September. And then we kind of take the winter off.
Yeah.
Off of school. We still have a lot going on, but we have a YouTube channel. Dwayne has a podcast.
You have your own YouTube channel.
I did start one. I have not been maintaining it. It's just one of those things that kind of fell by the wayside in all the moving and everything.
Yeah.
And
well, you are Momma, and life gets busy.
I'm not abandoning it. It's just temporary.
Yeah.
So maybe you guys will give me that boost I need to get it going again.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
We loved binging all your content once we realized that you had your own platform talking to primarily mothers and or just women in general about your life experiences. You have 7 kids and a set of twins. You want to talk to us about your journey into motherhood?
I don't know. I mean, I always wanted to be a mom. I started babysitting at a really young age and just always loved playing with little kids and being around them. And it was my dream to have 12 kids. I don't know why. I just wanted 12 kids and wanted to stay at home with them. And when I met Dwayne, that all kind of worked out. It's kind of what he wanted, a wife who was going to stay home and take care of the kids. And he fully supported that for me. And I had 7, and that was just my limit, physically, and then a lot of other things in our life. It's where we stopped. But that was fine because we had them all in 10 years. So the oldest was 10 when the youngest was born, just under 10, actually.
That's awesome.
So, had first one in the hospital, said I'm never doing that again. So I looked into home birth, and I had all the rest at home. Loved it. Homeschooled them, stayed home with them, loved it. Now I'm a grandma. Love that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
My mom always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom too. So when she was dating my dad and the conversation came up with what do you want with your life, she said, all I've ever wanted to do is have a bunch of kids and stay home with them. And he did everything to make that happen. Yeah. And she now to this day is currently watching all 3 of our children. And she agrees that being a grandma is so much more fun because you get to just be the good guy all the time.
Yeah, you do. It's great. Being a grandma is the reward for not killing your kids.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what they say. But my husband did the same thing. He fully supported my dream of wanting to stay home with the kids and raise them. And he worked his tail off to make that happen. So very appreciative of that. Yeah. A lot of young ladies have asked me on the channel, they don't think they can do it. They're like, oh, I don't want to raise kids in this world. In fact, I think I was talking to your husband this morning about that. I think, even back 100 years ago, the thought was, I don't want to bring children into this world because it's never really been a great world.
Yeah.
You just do the best that you can. And that was my dream. So I just did it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the young ladies, they get on and say, can you give us some tips? And I don't know what to say. It's like, there's no secret. There's no one thing that makes you a good mom. It's just doing the best that you can. And I think if you go over and listen to the podcast Dwayne did with your husbands, he really said it really well in, describing parenting and I can't rehash what he said, but.
Well, you have a saying on your podcast. So if you want to remind me of that saying, because I don't want to butcher it, but I feel like that encompasses what it's like to parent and mother.
My grit and grace. Yeah. It's have grit and give grace.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're in motherhood, definitely you have to have grit.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to be a good mom without grit, but just in daily life and everything. But and giving grace, you have to give your kids grace just as much as anybody else in your life.
Yeah.
They're little kids. My daughter has a 6-month-old baby, one of my daughters, and she was on the phone with me one day, and we were talking about him and his sleep habits and how every time she's like, I put him down and I walk away and he starts screaming, and I'm right there, or I'm coming right back, or whatever I said. But you don't realize he doesn't know that. He sees you and you're his world. You're everything to him. That's all he knows. When you disappear, he doesn't know you're coming back in 30 seconds or anything. And you just have to, that's what you're doing. You're training him. I'm right here. It's okay. And it's all through parenting.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing either. Just like we don't as parents. We're like,
they're kind of growing up together. I saw a video somewhere that was like, I'm only 30 and I have she said, I'm only 30 and I have a 3-year-old. She's like, I'm still growing up. We're all still just trying to improve ourselves 1% better every day. But you're also growing up with your kids, and you have to admit, oh yeah, I was wrong with that. And, but I totally.
There was a point today I got a little bit snippy with my 4-year-old, but we'd been in a store for a couple hours, and he was at his limit, and he did something, and I snapped at him. And he said, but I was doing that. He was just doing it a little bit maybe louder than I don't remember what the scenario was. Okay. But as soon as he looked at me, I could just tell his face broke. He's like, but I was doing that. And I was like, so I shrunk down at his level, and it was like, buddy, you're right. Mommy was wrong. I'm sorry. And I think, so it's hard to tell your child oh, I'm wrong. You want to just say, well, do it quieter or do it this way. But you have to be able to, which is hard to do. But he's my first kid. So I've never parented a 4-year-old before. Right. So it's,
well, one thing I just tried to remind myself is you have to remember you're raising adults. Yeah. You're not, people say I'm raising children, but you're raising adults, future adults.
Yeah.
And what's acceptable now for little kids is not acceptable for adults. It shouldn't be acceptable for little kids. Yeah. I mean, you train them and you teach them that is not acceptable behavior, but most parents are just like, that's too hard. Just let them throw their tantrum and be done or whatever. But you have to pour your heart into them. You have to pour everything into them. And the other thing the parenting tip I had got was just treat them the way you wanted to be treated. You know, whenever I would lose my temper or whatever, and which I did, I made a lot of mistakes and stuff, but you know, how would I want to be treated in this situation? And they don't know, or if they do know and they're just rebelling, then you handle it. But it's hard, but it's not that hard.
Yeah.
I mean, there's way too many blessings out of it. It's so fun.
I feel like I didn't realize it, but I had kind of unconsciously absorbed the feminist mindset of like, oh, like when you have kids, your whole, you know, that you need to travel before you have kids. Like I kind of like believed this like narrative of like, oh, you know, do all your living now, because once you have kids, all that stuff is over. And that's so not true. And like I had my baby and I was like, oh my gosh, this love is like I've never known it before. And like to be able to sacrificially give frequently to my family. Like I never thought I would be a stay-at-home mom because not because I looked down on it, not at all. My mom did it for 7 kids and she was so valuable in our home, but I just didn't see it. But once I like looked in her eyes, I was like, oh, like no wonder they want to convince women to not, you know, have kids. Cause it's like, it's actually really empowering to have all these kids and be like, well, I made you and I'm responsible for you. And there's like this accountability of like raising your kids and raising adults and making them into good humans. Right. What would you say to like moms like us who are in the beginning stages of this, as a now grandma, like to,
well, like, I'll ask you, do you feel like your life is over now that you have a kid?
No.
Yeah, like, you don't look like it to me.
No, it's honestly like I have told my husband this many times. I am not the same woman I was before I had her. Like, I mean, when I was pregnant, I was like, oh, I know I love this child inside me. But once like, you know, she like came up out of the water and I like saw her and I was like, I am not the same person. No, I'm like, my heart is different. My demeanor is different. Like even Dave knows, like, you know, I'm a grumpy sleeper. So like if you wake me up when I'm sleeping, I'm grumpy. He's like, I've never seen you so kind and compassionate in the middle of the night when she's screaming. And I'm like, I don't know what, like I would never have called that. I remember
you saying a couple years ago, I can't have kids because if I have to wake up in the middle of the night, it's not going to be nice for anybody.
That's one of my daughters was like that too.
Yeah. But it's just like it changes you, and I can't explain it and I can't do it. But like, she makes me want to be a better person. So like, as we do this podcast, I'm like, well, we want to kind of be like a voice to the younger girls and say like, hey, actually we're mothers and we're still having this podcast, even though it's not perfect all the time. And you know, nothing is ever perfect, but we're just trying because we want the next generation to not fear motherhood. Like, I mean, I feared motherhood. I did.
I remember I was 12 years old. We were at a family reunion or a family event, and I had one of the family members was like, well, you know, asking a little kid, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, well, I just want to grow up and get married and have kids. And they said, oh, like you're too smart for that. You need to do something else. And that stuck in my 12-year-old brain that,
my mom told me
motherhood's
that.
just a side note. It's to add on to whatever else you're doing because you're too smart for that. But no, it takes a lot of mental power to raise
a lot of grit.
Human beings.
A lot of grit.
Yeah. But the reality is a lot of women who have a baby don't experience that love that you talk about, that I had, that you had. They don't. They have that baby and they're not connected. I experienced it with my mom. She never was connected to me or my sister. And as sad as that is, it's a reality. There are women out there who are like, you know, I mean, obviously look at the foster care system that, you know, but if you're contemplating, like you asked me what advice for young women or whatever, you have to determine, first of all, I'm investing in another human being at least minimum 18 years. Then if I'm going to have a baby, the next 18 years, I need to invest in this child. Not just flippant, whatever, oh, they're in my life. You invest in them, and you can make them into a very good, decent human being, adult. And the other thing is just determine that you're going to like them. Because if you're not going to like your kids, then don't have kids. Yeah. And if they're not likable by you, nobody else is going to like them either. And if they're not likable kids, they're probably not going to be likable adults either. So that was something Dwayne and I were very firm on. We're going to like our kids. Not just love them because they're ours, but we want to like them. We want to enjoy being around them. And if you're not being a likable person, nobody wants to be around you. And I wanted to like my kids.
I feel like that ties into marriage a lot too, because they always say love is a decision, and you don't really understand that when you're young and infatuated. No. And then when you lose sleep and after you have a first kid, it's like love's not lost, but you like, I don't know, I understand now, like I'm deciding to love this person. Even though it's 3 a.m., the baby just threw up on me. We're both grouchy. I feel like that ties into a little bit both, what you just said.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. But you also have to like them too.
You do.
And I own a hair salon and I work with clients all day, and the amount of women that just come in, and it's different because hairstylists end up becoming sort of like a pseudo therapist. So it's a good place.
I can see that.
It's a good place for people to vent, but you can tell when someone's venting and when someone genuinely like doesn't like their husband. And I'm like, how sad to be in a state where you're not always going to maybe like this person every single second of every day because you're two separate humans with two separate personalities. But like, I don't know. It's just crazy to think it's crazy, more crazy for me to think you could not like your child. But
yeah,
I did have pretty strong
What do you think
bond.
that is? I mean, because we've actually had comments on our podcast about like, well, not everybody gets that overwhelming feeling of love when they have their kids.
And I don't know how to respond.
I don't know how to respond to that either. And but I'm not saying that it's wrong because I don't know, but do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I mean, there's different situations. Yeah. You might have a baby on accident. I mean, what if you didn't intend to get pregnant? And then you have that baby and you're like, I don't really want this child, but it's my responsibility. I mean, that's sad, but there's probably a lot of that out there. I don't know. I mean, do the best you can,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's something to think about.
I have. And
go ahead.
I don't know how deep we want to get into this, but we've done a couple podcasts on relationships. And mind you, we've been married less than 10 years and we've been together for 15. So we don't know everything. We don't claim that our marriage is perfect. We just give advice, she and I, on like what we have experienced so far. But one of the things we've mentioned, and I don't even know if we cut it out of an older podcast because it was a little controversial, but it's like, don't have a child with someone you are not
married to.
And it's, you can't, and I don't know. It's tough to say because you want to be cautious and you want to be sensitive.
Yeah.
But also, you've made a commitment to this guy that, hey, we're going to stick through it thick and thin. And
well, if you're not going to commit in marriage,
how are you going to
commit? Yeah. In parenting.
Yeah. And things happen and we get that. So we don't want to, we never want to come across any sort of way or judgmental or whatever. But I don't know how deep you want to go with that or if you even want to leave it in. But
I have a lot of friends who have had every type of birth under the sun, and they go into hospitals with their birth plan and they're just say, or they have nothing at all. They're like, I'm just going to wing it and see how it goes. And then the medical system does what it kind of does, like the cascade of interventions that happens a lot. And then they end up in an emergency C-section that, if actually you look at the evidence, it didn't really actually need to be a C-section. It was more like the doctor had a golfing appointment or something. Which,
so sad.
I have filmed lots of births and I have heard, well, I have lunch at my kid's school at noon, so we got to get this moving. And it's just like, okay, well, I think maybe the model we've taken with birth has maybe taken some of that connection out of like the authority over your child that you're about to birth. It's kind of, I'm going to put all this responsibility on the doctor. But that being said, you had one birth in the hospital and then you had the rest all at home. Do you feel comfortable talking?
The middle of the jungle.
Yeah, in the middle of the jungle. We have to hear it.
Yeah, I know.
If you don't mind, if you want to just, if you can do a recap of all of them or whatever you're comfortable with.
Well, I had the first one in the hospital because I didn't know any better. That's just what you do. I was 19 when he was born.
You were 19?
Yeah. I got married at 18.
Wow.
Got pregnant in like 3 weeks and turned 19 and had him. And it was just I know that not all hospitals are like this, okay?
No,
because I've been to a couple of my daughter's births and they weren't like this at all, but it was just a bad experience. They did not care. They did not take care of me or anything. It was just not pleasant. And I just was like, I want a lot of kids, but I don't want to experience this.
Yeah.
And I had a good pregnancy. The labor was short. It was comparatively easy. It wasn't easy, but it was compared to the stories that I hear, And obviously I knew, okay, if my pregnancy was good, my labor was good, I can do this several times, So I just, how did the second one? Well, when I got pregnant the second time, we moved to Alaska. Dwayne's parents were living in a village in the middle of Alaska. And there's no hospitals or anything out there. It's just a native village. And you basically fly out when you're due and have your baby in the city, in the hospital, and then fly home with them. And I did not want to do that. So we found a midwife from a friend. She had become a midwife, and we flew her out there. Huh. And a couple of the healthcare workers in the village were not excited. They were like, I don't think you should do that. And they weren't very supportive or anything, but there's nothing they could do. So she came out, and we did all the stuff, and I had the baby, and she was great with him. And then the third one, we were in a different village in Alaska. He was VPSO which is a village patrol safety officer. And I got pregnant. We talked about what to do because that was even a smaller village, and I had 2 kids already, and we were a little nervous about having the baby out there. We couldn't find a midwife to come out, so we flew out of the village to a friend's house and just stayed with them and had found a midwife, and she came. She barely made it, like 30 minutes into that.
Oh my goodness.
Before Holly was born. Is this what you're wanting?
Yes. Okay. If you don't mind, I think people love to hear it.
Yeah. And then we took a little break. It was hard. We were getting our marriage kind of back on track again, and because we had a few struggles, and parenting was hard, and I was like, I lost a lot of sleep. I didn't know what I was doing. I felt like I was making a lot of mistakes, and so we let's just take a little break. And we waited a couple years, and then the opportunity came for us to go to Papua New Guinea and do some work over there. So we went, and it's kind of cool the way I got pregnant because I was kind of feeling like, I think I want another baby, but I'm not really sure, and I'm pretty sure he won't want one, so I'm not going to say anything. And then one day he said, I think I'm about ready for the pitter-patter of little feet again. I was like, me too. And then I didn't know it at the time, but I was already pregnant. So then we found out I was pregnant. So that was really cool. So her birth is a whole story in itself. But, I mean, it's
you have
huge
that on a video,
yeah,
little bits of it, right? So we can link that if I remember to link it.
And yeah, so she was born out there in the village. We were going to go to town and have her, but nothing was working out for us to do that. And to have her there in the village was a real connection with the people there in the village. And that's what we wanted. We were trying to, just be involved in what they were doing and their lifestyle and everything. And they understood. They were like, you're white. They would even say, you're white, so you're weaker. You Americans, you have to go do, I was like,
they weren't
really? Well, give me a banana leaf and I'll show you. No, I wasn't going to go have a banana leaf, but
so wait,
that's what
was that
do. It's their custom to, when they give birth, they go out from their hut, away from the hut, and lay the big banana leaves out. They're like huge.
Yeah, okay.
And make a bed, and they birth the baby out there.
By themselves, or
the women
go with?
The women will go, but the men do not.
Okay.
And, I mean, this is National Geographic here. I mean, loincloths, some of them have the hole in the nose where they had the bone, that kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, when we decided we were going to have the baby in the village, Dwayne went to the elders and said, that's what we want to do. But doesn't want to go and lay on banana leaves. And they're like, no, you're okay. You're American. You can do, it's like, oh.
Thank you.
American.
Not making me lay on banana leaves.
So anyway, they they didn't have a problem with us having it in the house. And,
Did their local women come and assist you? How did that look?
So we'd already had 3.
Yeah.
So we knew what to expect. Mm-hmm. We knew the pregnancy had gone really well. I was in really good shape, really good health. We had tools, stuff there for emergency backup. Dwayne's sister had flown out to just take care of the kids and help us. And so she was there. But basically, Dwayne and I just did it. I mean,
So unassisted.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I just gave birth and he caught her.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I was standing up and when she was born, and he caught her, almost dropped her, and because they're slippery.
Yeah, they're slippery. Yeah.
It's not something I recommend that everybody go try, but
it's not made for everybody. It's like with home birth or birth center. We talk on the podcast, it's not for everybody. No. And we're not saying it is. No. We just like for women to know their options.
Sure.
The hospital isn't the only way.
You have to be in that comfort zone for your body to let go and let you have that baby. Yeah. So if you're more comfortable in a hospital, you're going to be more relaxed in the hospital.
Yeah.
2 of my daughters have had babies and they were in the hospital and I fully supported them.
Yeah.
I was there
no
for
wrong way to do it.
I don't have a problem with it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was Shelby. And then the twins, I got pregnant with the twin. Well, when Shelby was about 4 or 5 months old, we were like, we really should have another baby right away because she was almost 4 years from the other. Mm-hmm. And, she needs a buddy or whatever. And you never plan on twins, but we got pregnant with twins and, I wouldn't change that if I could. That was awesome. Hard, really hard. I don't think I slept for a year.
Oh my goodness.
It was really fun.
Was the pregnancy hard?
The pregnancy was hard, but not.
Were you still in New Guinea at this point?
I was until 7 months. Okay. And then I kind of suspected, excuse me, that it might be twins. There were just a few signs. So we flew home to the States. Went to a doctor just to get an ultrasound and check everything. And they're like, yeah, it's twins. So they said, it's automatic cesarean. We don't, unless everything is picture perfect, textbook perfect. And I'm like, nope, not interested.
Did you tell them that or did you?
I just kind of said, okay, whatever.
Yeah. And then just
what are you going to say?
Back and said, see you later.
Yeah. So we looked for midwife and no midwives would deliver twins at home. So we had a friend who had a friend and we went to the friend's house and had the twins there. Mm-hmm. That's that can be controversial. So, it's just what we did. And the birth went good. I had 2 false labors. So that prepped me.
Really? Yeah.
So the first baby, she was born in 45 minutes because of the pre-labor. And we tease her because she always says, her other twin, she says, you pushed me. From the time we were born, you've pushed me. She's always been the bossier one and she pushed her out. That's what she teases. So anyway, I had to, basically you go through labor, the process, and then the birth process, and then you're done. Everything stops. And I had to do it again.
Wow.
So it was 4 hours later and the next day. So they have separate birthdays. So that's really
amazing.
Cool. Yeah. And she was breech, feet first. My womb prolapsed afterwards. So that was rough and had to stay down for a couple days. And then you just do it. It's like people say, oh, I could never. How did you do that? You just do it.
Yeah.
That's motherhood for you. You just do it.
Yeah. And then I wasn't supposed to get pregnant again because of the womb prolapse and everything for at least a couple years. Mm-hmm. And they were 11 months when I got pregnant. And
that's Leo
so that was scary.
Yeah.
I almost lost him a couple of times. And then at the end of my pregnancy, I got put on bed rest for about a month because I dilated to I think it was 6, but no other signs. But they were like, oh, you got to get, lay down for a few weeks. So I did. And then when I got up, they're like, hey, you're a month early, so expect to have this baby, and he's going to be really small. Well, he went that whole month and 4 days late. So
okay.
I was dilated to 8 the whole time.
Wow.
So
was that uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like sitting on a ball. Yeah. All the time. Yeah. It was uncomfortable. It hurt all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to take care of 6 kids.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I can't do this. I'm done.
Yeah.
My body's just done. It's tired. And I have 7 that I need to take care of. And I feel like I can't take care of all of their individual needs if I just keep going through this. Mm-hmm. So we just decided it was best for the kids if we just didn't, and me, if we didn't have anymore.
Yeah.
So anyway, his birth was quick. He was 9/12.
Wow.
So he was huge.
Wow.
And everything went fine though.
How fast was his labor?
I think it was 4.5 hours. Yeah. I know.
I really like respect you, and I'm so grateful to be here. But like, I want to punch you in the face so bad.
I understand.
Yeah.
I know.
It's fine.
It's not fair. Like I said in my other video, my sister, she only got 2. She was like, and both were over 30 hours and cesarean.
Okay.
Over 30 hours of labor, and then they still had to.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That's hard.
And after the second one, she's like,
It's
just tie the tubes. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend because she was asking, because I will be brutally honest, if women, if like a friend wants to ask, like, okay, give me all the nitty gritty details, and I'm like, all right, I will.
How nitty and how gritty, because we have no boundaries.
Yeah, I was like, seriously, I will tell the truth if to your comfort level until you say like, whoa, calm down. But she was like, what should I do? What should I do? Like, should something, like my mom went for all scheduled cesareans. She's like, but she said that recovery was just ridiculously hard. And she's like, but then I have friends who gave birth and then, tore really bad. And they said that was really hard. And I was like, yeah, you can't get out of it with,
it's going to be
hard either way. Like, we're not saying, we've said this many times, we don't think of it in our mind of like, oh, cesarean's like an easy way out. It's not, because that's like a major abdominal surgery.
It is.
And then
they throw a baby at you and then you take this thing to life.
Yeah, it's hard no matter what you do. And then you have this little potato who, cries all the time and poops all the time. But thanks for sharing all that. That's I
feel like it's weird talking about, because if I go out and have coffee with a friend or something, we share birth stories or whatever, but it's weird like this setting, because I'm like, nobody wants to hear this.
No, they do.
But I promise. A lot of our followers, especially, we actually had someone comment the other day. It was really sweet, where she was scared to death to have birth, and the comment that just came back.
Oh yeah,
you responded to the other day. My brain's a little.
She said that something to the effect of, I listened to your podcast on repeat to help encourage myself for labor, because she said something to the effect of like, oh, my friends don't talk about it positively, so every time she can't go to them to be like, hey, like I'm nervous about this, so we would just talk about it like, hey, you just do it, like it's hard, but like you will, it will be okay, like you can. God designed us to do this.
Your body is designed to do it,
and things happen, but like this is.
And
there's lots of variations of normal.
Just be prepared that it's okay if you plan it natural, or you just want to get as far as you can, and then in advance, I may not be able to do it all. I may need assistance. I might need some medicine. That's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. Just
most of the time, that's transition anyway.
Yeah.
I remember there's a point in my birth video that I posted, and Irene, I'm sitting on the toilet, and sorry fellas who are watching, but
all the husbands are out here just sitting.
I look at Irene, and I didn't even know if there was a camera there. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And she was like, there's no other option.
There's no other option.
You got to do it. And I was like, okay, yeah. But I needed her, like a fellow, like a woman, to say it sucks, but there's no other option. And
I would definitely encourage you to have somebody with you. And somebody who's experienced labor themselves. Yeah. It's very helpful, but you need somebody that's calm-natured, not a, freaking out mother-in-law. That's stereotypical, but you know what I mean? It's like, just have somebody who you trust, who's calm, and who can help you get through that. A doula is great, but usually they're strangers, you know, and they're helpful, they're professional and everything. But if you have a friend or a relative or somebody who you know is just going to be in there and be helping you and be calm.
We had each other. So she cut both my kids. There's how's that smoke getting you?
I'm just winking at you, girlfriend.
The fire pit is.
She cut both my kids' cords, and then I was at her birth filming the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that's very good.
It's been fun to have just that village.
Yeah. I think that's something that we've gotten away from a lot, is like having the village of women to help like the next generation on, you know, which I think is a beautiful thing that your channel is like filling that space of you're talking to the mothers that are kind of going through it right now with your wisdom, because you've done it and you did it well, and you have, you know, great kids. And now, like, as your husband said earlier, you guys are living your dream right now.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier mothering all of your children's different personalities. Do you have any advice on how to, because every kid, I have 2 kids and they're night and day, and not just because they're boy, girl, just everything about them, how we discipline them. This works for this one, does not work for this one. How was it
with
parenting 7 personalities?
I think it's just one of those things. It's like you just do it. Yeah. It's not like I got 7 kids all of a sudden either.
Right.
You know, when you start them out, you're helping them develop a personality. Like I said, you want to like them, so teach them how to be likable.
Yeah.
And like, okay, for example, my twins, they're night and day. Twins, same age. So when we started homeschool, one of them was picked up on reading like that, and the other one was just real slow. Like, they're like Dwayne and I.
Yeah.
He read crazy all the time, and I'm a really slow reader. I was way behind in school on reading, and so they were like that. And so I couldn't do the same curriculum, and that was frustrating, because it's like, no, you're both 5. You have to. I can't. I've got all these other kids, and I can't. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to force them? You know, she couldn't do that same curriculum as the other one, so we just did something different. And excuse me, they're just unique individuals. It's like your friends and your acquaintances and stuff. You don't talk to everybody the same way.
Yeah.
You don't treat everybody, you know, the same way. So it's just like that with your kids.
Yeah.
You just I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to really say how I did it. I should ask my kids.
You should have them on your podcast.
You should have them on your channel.
I should, yeah. I actually went, like, in January, I went up and visited my oldest daughter, and I tried to interview. We had the camera set up over here, and we're sitting at her table. We had everything clean, and we did our hair, and the interruptions. I'm telling you, we're like, okay, they're going out for a nap. Let's do this. And nobody napped, and they cried. Oh, this one wanted a snack, and I'm like, this is not going to work. So I never did piece it together and edit it into a video.
You should still post it if there's little snippets. I thought about it. We did one whole one on. I think, we had a lot of, somehow our channel, which is geared towards women, got a lot of men commenting.
It's because we had a concealed carry conversation, and then we had all the
lots
bros.
of men disagreeing and being just
really saying these girls don't know what they're talking about, and we're just like, listen, it's because this content is not for you.
Yes, it's not for you.
It's not. Like, you gotta go away.
What can we talk about that would scare them all away? So we did a podcast on, like, periods. So okay, I'm a younger girl, and you're probably too embarrassed to call your mom. You're going to Google it. So we'll YouTube it. We'll put it on there. And the whole podcast, I think Leo was there because we had to do it midday, and that we would have still posted it even with Leo's interruptions, but we forgot to push record on the audio.
Yeah, no.
But it's like, and we mentioned the podcast. We're like, hey, baby's here. This is our only time to podcast. We're 2 moms doing our best. Here we go.
Yeah.
So I'd say if there's any snippets in there you like, people won't mind the interruptions.
I probably will post it someday. I need to, like, sit down and really watch it. I just kind of put it away, and I was really frustrated because we put a lot of work into it. And she asked me about it later. She said, "What did you think? Was it too much?" I said, "I don't know. I'm very limited in what I can do with it. So we'll see."
Yeah.
But it's worth it because she learned a lot from my watching me as a mom, and when she became a mom,
land?
She's 3rd.
Okay,
but she's the oldest girl.
Okay,
so she's 28. I think she's 28, and has 3 children. And she, I asked her in it. I said, "What do you do differently the first thing that comes to mind that you saw that I did that I messed up on? What did you learn from my mistakes, and what do you do differently? And she said, I saw how you put everybody else first all the time, and you were always lacking in taking care of yourself. Yeah. You were constantly putting everybody a people pleaser, but that was my personality. And you didn't take care of yourself, and you had needs too. And she said, and then I saw you as, mom of teenagers, how it hurt you. It was harmful. And I agree with that. I did not take care of myself. That's one of the biggest mistakes I made was I didn't take care of myself. You matter just as much as the kids, and the husband do too. So you have to take care of yourself, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, everything.
Because they're watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. And if, because I'm staying home with Leo too, and like editing podcast and doing birth and stuff. But, I find that if I don't get up and get dressed, or prioritize, hey, go, brush your teeth, or put your hair even in a slightly brushed bun. If I don't do that, I'm a grumpier person through the day. And I can recognize that in myself. I'm like, oh, if I don't, prioritize just a little sliver of, me time, then I'm not a very, I thrive more as a mom if I don't completely wear myself down.
Yeah. Well, you can't,
which is hard in the early
empty cup.
Yes.
And I agree with you there. But
we appreciate your honesty.
I mean, she's like, her husband will come home and he'll see she's not had a good day or whatever. He's like, just go to the store, go get your nails done, go do something. I've got this, and she'll just take a couple hours if she needs to, go have coffee with another mom or something. And sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's other ways to do it. Yeah. And I even, I would take time for myself in the mornings. I would get up before the kids and prepare my day. I get my attitude straight, do what needed to be done or whatever. But in a lot of ways, I look back on that and I would get my Bible and I would read my Bible and I would do stuff. But usually I look back on that now and I'm like, I thought it was trying to take care of myself and stuff, but it was almost my way of trying to still be a people pleaser.
Oh, okay.
How can I make myself better so that other people will think I'm perfect? They need to see that I'm a perfect mom and a perfect wife and I have this perfect life. And that's not necessary because nobody's going to believe it anyway. Because nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
So
that's something we're hoping to upset with this podcast is we kind of grew up in the era where I didn't have a cell phone as a teenager and then they came out and then I got one. I don't think Instagram came out till I was in college or out of college or something like that. And the expectation to be perfect, I think people are just kind of done with that. And so
I think so too. I think you're right.
People are understanding and they're appreciating. We've gotten a few nice comments like, hey, we appreciate that you guys are just real and aren't afraid to laugh at yourselves or
that's good.
Look silly.
It's important we share our mistakes.
Yeah.
And I did in one of my next videos was going to be like the top 3 mistakes I made in parenting. Whatever. And that's a hard thing to make. You really got to be humble. But I'm like, if I'm not going to share my mistakes, then why'd they even happen? I mean, it's okay. Everybody makes them and now my kids are all grown and stuff and I can't go back and change it. But, I have talked to my girls about the mistakes I made and my boys too, but my, mother-daughter thing. And I've told them, I said, look, this is how I did it and I'm sorry. And I don't want you to be like that or whatever. And they're great. All my kids know that I love them and I poured my heart into them, my life into them. And that was important.
So where can people follow you and connect with you and watch your content?
We have my YouTube channel, Dry Creek Momma, and I think there's 2 or 3 videos on Dwayne's channel, Dry Creek Wrangler School, and those are YouTube. And then we both have Instagram. That's mostly, I think, school related stuff. But and then apparently your podcast.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on here.
We will link all of your stuff, and we're just so grateful that you had us here and that you were gracious to be on our podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
There's more content to come.
It's been fun having y'all here at our house. I'm really glad y'all came. Thank you. Your kids are great. You're doing a great job momming, both of you.
Thanks.
I'm very impressed.
Now if we could just convince the husbands to get that property up the road.
Yeah.
Where's he at? It's dark.
I can't see. All right. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you too.
Thanks.
Thanks for being with us today. Follow us on Instagram at underthesun_podcast. We'd love to meet you.
Please help us out by subscribing on YouTube and leaving a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time. Please remember this information is made available to you for informational and educational purposes only. It is in no way a substitute for medical advice.